Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Pole Position Podcast. In this one we're going to be reviewing the United States Grand Prix. Yep, the race in Austin, Texas, which actually was a very good one this season as well. We've had a few good races this year and I'd say Austin was up there as being another one. And obviously the most important news of the weekend is that Lewis Hamilton has now been confirmed and he's won the Drivers' Championship for 2019. The sixth time the Brit has won the accolade of being the best driver on the grid. And, well, as much as I'm personally not a huge fan of Lewis Hamilton, I have to give massive respect to him. He's done tremendous this year and thoroughly deserves the accolade of being a six-time world champion. Only one now off Michael Schumacher. Can he do it next season? I think it's going to be interesting to see. But finished second behind Valtteri Bottas, who we're going to go into in these points. Finished second behind him. And I didn't actually think Mercedes were going to do as well as they did. Once again, my predictions were wrong. So what a surprise there. But I just felt that Ferrari would be stronger, but as I keep saying on these podcasts, I should really learn that I don't know what happens with Ferrari. They always issues seem to be coming about every weekend. So again, we're going to look at them as well. But so Mercedes did better than I expected. Valtteri Bottas got on pole and had to fight with Lewis Hamilton really for the win. Lewis Hamilton starting from fifth, managed to get his way up the order with Sebastian Vettel obviously having issues and having a suspension failure, meaning he was out the race. Charles Leclerc struggled on the first stint, meaning he was basically out of the run-in. So it was between the two Mercedes drivers and Max Verstappen. So Lewis Hamilton was already up the order, and we all knew unless he had an issue, he was going to win it because he needed to finish 8th or above. So where he was in third place, there wasn't going to be an issue. So Valtteri Bottas had to really work to get that win and had to overtake his teammate twice. Huge congrats to Valtteri Bottas for at least making Hamilton work for the win. But in terms of the World Championship, I mean, huge congratulations to Lewis Hamilton. He has been immense this season, and Bottas has done a good job, but he just hasn't been able to beat his teammate. It's been his 10th win Lewis Hamilton has won this season. He's won 10 races. Valtteri Bottas did win on the weekend, but I'm pretty sure it's only his fourth win, I want to say. I'm not sure. 4 wins to Hamilton's 10. Yeah, I did write it down. I was going to say, I was looking at it going, I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere. Lewis Hamilton's won 10. Valtteri Bottas has won 4. Now, he's improved and he's got better, Valtteri Bottas, but there are still points when he thinks, he must think, I've still got to beat Lewis Hamilton in that sense. I mean, 10-4 is still quite a big gap for two teammates. So, a few things to improve on for Bottas, but Hamilton, huge. I don't think there's going to be any issues with him catching up to Michael Schumacher. I think if he's still in the same form this season as he for next, he'll be absolutely fine and at least being on level with Schumacher, I think. But just a couple of stats before I move on to the next point. Pole positions in their careers. Lewis Hamilton is on 87, so he's the highest of any driver. Michael Schumacher is on 68 pole positions and Ayrton Senna is on 65. Race wins, Michael Schumacher is on 91, so he's still at the top of the list. Lewis Hamilton is on 83. So, like I said, if Lewis Hamilton keeps up this form, he's probably going to beat Schumacher for wins as well. Sebastian Vettel, just a bit of a insight, is on 53 wins. So it's quite a big gap actually between Vettel and Hamilton at this moment in time with the Mercedes dominance that's happened over the last few years. Podiums as well. Michael Schumacher on 155, Lewis Hamilton on 150. So again, he's probably going to beat that as well. So, I mean, Hamilton is going to be top of every single list. Just quickly, Vettel is 119 podiums. So again, he's still got quite a way to go. Lewis Hamilton probably in this next year, a year and a half, will probably be number one on all these lists, which just shows how good of a driver Hamilton is. As much as I have probably been a fan of other drivers while Lewis Hamilton has been around, I have to respect Hamilton for what he's done as a driver. So huge congrats to him, and obviously the Mercedes team, Constructors Championships and Driver Championship for Lewis Hamilton. That's the first point. Hamilton, a 6-time world champion. Point number 2 is Valtteri Bottas impressing enough to do well in the 2020 season. Now, I know there's a lot of people around saying Valtteri Bottas isn't good enough to be in that seat. Esteban Ocon has been knocking at that door for a year now. Should he have gotten the seat for next season? But honestly, I think Valtteri Bottas has impressed me through this year. I've enjoyed seeing him and enjoy watching him race. Yes, okay, he's still got things to learn. I think every now and then he has an off race where he just disappears and you don't know where he is. He finishes 6th or 8th and he has a bit of a disappointing run. So I think there are things that he needs to improve on to catch up with Hamilton and be level right to the very end of the season. At the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, can one or the other win the championship? That's what we want. We want it to go down to the last race. But 2 wins in his last 3 races, which is he's doing well for the end of the last season, which hopefully will go on to the 2020 season next year. He was disappointed after the win in Austin on Sunday, because he won the race, which was huge. He managed to overtake his teammate, again another bonus, but he lost out on the Drivers' Championship. And I think seeing Bottas that disappointed for me is good, because he wants it. He wants it. Whereas I think his first couple of years in Mercedes, it was like, I'm just sort of bedding myself in. Okay, Lewis Hamilton won it, but we'll see what happens next year. Whereas I can see in Bottas's expressions, he really wants that World Championship, and he's got that car, so he's got everything around him. So I just hope next year we see an even better Bottas. I mean, he had a great start to the season, and he dipped away in the middle of the year. And yeah, like I said, 2 wins in the last 3 races. He's ending the season well, so let's hope he can just keep it a bit more consistent. But like I said before in the Hamilton point, he's only won 4 races this year, and Hamilton's won 10. So like I said, that is an issue that he needs to improve on. But yeah, he looks different to previous years. Just going to leave point number 2. Could Valtteri Bottas win the World Championship next year? You let me know. Point number 3 is Ferrari. Now, I say this every week, and I'm going to say it again. Ferrari have issues. Where do I start? Both Ferraris were close on qualifying, but just disappeared in the race. Literally just disappeared. I mean, Vettel, you've probably already seen it online, or if you watched the race, had a right rear suspension failure as he went over, I think it was turn 8, is it turn 8? Over the bumps, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if he had issues before with the race start, but both of them were struggling with tyres, and he just sort of ran over the runoff area, and his car just sort of snapped at the back. So yeah, not good for Sebastian Vettel, but I think that sort of, I don't want to say it was a help, because I think they were really both Ferrari drivers were struggling. So I think Vettel was sort of like, if it was going to happen on any race, this race is probably the best one to do it on, because I think that he would have had a really poor race. Both cars just looked out of it. I don't know whether it was the tyres on the first stint, but they just, Leclerc struggled. I mean, he was the only Ferrari out there after 10 laps, because I think Vettel on lap 8, lap 9 was when we had that incident. And yeah, the first race stint was terrible. I don't know what was going on with the tyres for Leclerc. And then he had an issue in the pit stop. Was it the first or second pit stop, where it was like 7 seconds long, and then they were just way out. It was he was going to finish 4th, but apart from that, it was just a poor day for Ferrari. I mean, obviously they're going to be hoping better for Brazil, not this Sunday, the Sunday after, and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to finish the season. But I mean, goodness me, I'm sure I've said in the last 4 podcasts there's been some sort of issues with Ferrari, and they just seem to materialise, and I don't know why. They look good in qualifying, and then they just disappeared in the race. I mean, like I said, I didn't think Mercedes would be that good, but I said Ferrari would be better, and yeah, again, they just seem to have problems. And when you want to win the Constructors World Championship against such a reliable team like Mercedes, you need to be doing a lot better than what's going on. I mean, a suspension failure, yeah, okay, that happens. I suppose you can't really predict what that's going to happen. But yeah, both drivers on the first stint of the tyres were just shocking. So I think there's obviously a point there with the car. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be really quick on this point because I keep saying it. And yeah, point number 3, so many issues still for Ferrari. Point number 4 is another great race for Daniel Ricciardo. back-to-back scoring for the Renault driver and for the Renault team, and yeah, it's actually looking promising now. I mean, Renault haven't been great this season. And I think that's fair to say. I think when they came back into the sport, they said they had like a 3-year, 4-year plan, and I'm not sure how many years we're into that now. And by the end of that, they were supposed to be, competing for the World Championships and the Constructors Championships, and obviously that's not happening yet. They're fighting for 4th with McLaren. So there's still issues. Daniel Ricciardo obviously went into the team. He knew it was going to be a difficult first year, so I think next year he's hoping for even better. But they have struggled. But like I said, with Valtteri Bottas, this end of the season is looking good for Renault, and they're close to McLaren. They could catch McLaren for 4th place, it's looking good for them. P6 for Ricciardo in America. P8 for him in Mexico, it's looking good. Obviously, Ricciardo's very good at doing his overtakes. He's very good at keeping the tyres well. I mean, we've seen, I think, was it in Mexico, he did 50 laps or something on the hard tyre. He's been made to do that a lot for Renault this season, but he's been doing a great job. And first time both Renaults have scored points in back-to-back races this season. I mean, good that they're doing that, but again, also shows the issues they had at the start of the season where they haven't been doing that and haven't been scoring consistent points, and there's still reliability issues there. So again, I think they're going to go into the winter with a lot still to do, but I think they can do that. Obviously, they'll have a new driver alongside Ricciardo of Esteban Ocon next year as well, so that'll be interesting to see the dynamic between them two. I think obviously Ricciardo will then be the number 1 driver, and obviously Ocon will be trying to push in to compete for that spot as number 1. But as it goes for the race, great result for Daniel Ricciardo and for Renault in catching McLaren. So that's point number 4. Point number 5 is Antonio Giovinazzi, who has been confirmed at Alfa Romeo for next season. I think we all knew that was going to happen. I think in Singapore, Fred Vasseur, the team principal at Alfa Romeo, was talking about how well he's done this season and how they'd like to keep him next season unless there was any issues. And that was back in Singapore. We're now just at the end of the American Grand Prix, and it's been announced that he will be racing for them next season, which is good. He's the only Italian on the grid, and it's good for obviously Alfa Romeo being from Italy, and obviously having the Ferrari brand around them as well. To have Giovinazzi in the car next season, I think he's done okay. He's had a decent first full season in Formula 1. He's 10.9 down in qualifying against Raikkonen, which isn't too bad really. I mean, 10.9 is pretty good, but he is 27 points behind in the championship. So obviously racing, in terms of the race day, he's got to improve a little bit more. But I think, especially in the last few weeks, or the last few races of qualifying, or last few weekends of qualifying, he has improved a lot, and he has been beating Raikkonen in qualifying. So I think as the season's progressed, he's obviously got better, which is obviously understandable. And I think, it's good that Giovinazzi's been confirmed for next season. I think it was a slam dunk, really, for Alfa Romeo to pick the Italian driver for next year. It's good for the sport, good for the fans, and good for the country, really. So I don't think there's any issues with that. That does only leave now 4 drives yet to be confirmed for next season, and that's 1 at Williams alongside George Russell. They haven't found a replacement for Robert Kubica yet. 1 for Red Bull. We're guessing it's going to be Alex Albon, because again, he had a great race and he's certainly improving as the races go on. So I think, why change that? I think he's going to do well and give him a full season next year in that Red Bull car alongside Verstappen. So it hasn't been announced, but I see it going to be. And 2 Toro Rossos. Both Toro Rossos haven't been announced yet. Gasly and Kvyat in the seat at the minute. Kvyat has sort of been told that he won't get that Red Bull drive, so he's probably going to stay at Toro Rosso. So that one we already really know about, but it hasn't been confirmed. And it's between Albon and Gasly for the Red Bull seat. And Gasly's are doing okay, but like I said, I'd probably keep them 2 at Toro Rosso and have Albon at Red Bull. Them 3 drives really are all to do with the Red Bull programme. There's only one really main seat, and that's Williams at the minute. And really, if I want to see Nico Hulkenberg in F1 next season, he's going to have to join Williams. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a shame for Nico Hulkenberg. Unless Williams drastically improve over the winter, he's going to have a poor season alongside George Russell next season. So I obviously want to see him still there, because I love Nico Hulkenberg as a driver. I think he's been very unlucky in his career and never to get a podium. I think he's a good driver, but yeah, I mean, unless, like I said, Williams really improve, it's going to be a poor season if he does join them next year. I mean, hopefully they're going to get better. They can't get any worse, let's be honest. Can the Williams drivers? The team itself just seems to be really bad this year. So, hopefully. But just to go back. Point number 5, Antonio Giovinazzi is confirmed as an Alfa Romeo driver for the 2020 season. And point number 6, just to round off these points, is the USA love for Formula 1. Now, over the last few years, I think the first race we saw back in 2012, there was a few fans. There were fans there, but when you go now to 2019, the crowds were huge. There was loads of people there. It was a great atmosphere. Celebrities from America are all coming out to watch the Grand Prix. Obviously, Matthew McConaughey, we saw so much of him, doing his whatever that was. For Lewis Hamilton, every time he was on camera, he was doing that. I mean, great, Matthew, I'm sure. So there was a lot of celebrities out to watch the race, a lot of fans out as well. Qualifying looked good. There was a lot of people there to watch the race as well. All the motorhomes along the track. And it looked a good atmosphere, and obviously with the week going up to the race, they had a F1 festival in Los Angeles as well. Bottas, Ricciardo, Verstappen, and I think Albon as well. Were on Hollywood Boulevard doing a donut challenge and meeting people in the street in Hollywood, and I thought that was good as well, and there was loads of fans turned out for that as well. So F1 is growing in the USA, and obviously with Liberty Media being American owned, really, they want to see as much love for the sport in America as possible. There's also talked about a Miami Grand Prix as well. I mean, obviously there are issues and discussions going on with that, but there could be another race in America, in Miami as well. So that's something to look at, and just in case that develops as well. But I think the USA's love for F1 is growing, which is good for the sport. We need to see as many fans as possible watching the Grand Prix, and I think that's another point for the 2021 regulations as well, to make F1 more exciting, to get more people to watch it, to get people to enjoy it more. I think that's the thing. The more overtakes, the more challenging, the more wheel-to-wheel racing we get, the more people are obviously going to watch. So I think it's important. I like the progression that's going on. I like the fact that we are seeing more fans in areas we hadn't seen in a few years ago. But obviously, going forward with the sport, we need to make sure that the racing is good for people to watch. Just on that point, I think Austin, Texas, the Circuit of Americas hosted a great race weekend, and the fans looked like they enjoyed it as well. So that's point number 6. The USA love Formula 1 at the minute. So that's the 6 points. I'm just going to go through the driver standings. Obviously, we know Lewis Hamilton's won the Drivers' Championship. Valtteri Bottas in second, 314. Lewis Hamilton on 381. Leclerc in third with 249. Max Verstappen in fourth with 235. That's really close. As well is Sebastian Vettel in fifth place with 230. That's really the only battle we're going to watch now for the rest of the year. Really close between all three of them. So who's going to finish third in that? That'll be very interesting to see at the end of the season. And the constructors, just quickly, Mercedes 695. We already know that they're winners of the Constructors Championship. Ferrari on 479. Red Bull Racing Honda on 366 in third. And then we have McLaren Renault in fourth with 121 and Renault in fifth with 83. Now, I believe they can still catch McLaren. It's going to be very difficult, actually. I thought it was less than that, but who knows? That might happen. And also Racing Point as well, trying to catch Renault. And Toro Rosso on 64 as well. 64, Racing Point 65, Renault 83, and McLaren Renault on 121. So that's also going to be interesting as well. I mean, below, do we really care? Alfa Romeo with 35, Haas with 28, and Williams still with their 1 point. It's going to be that battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. That's going to be interesting. I think McLaren really, unless they have two major issues in this last two races, are going to finish in 4th. It's going to be between Renault, Racing Point and Toro Rosso for the 5th place spot. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I will be doing a preview of the Brazilian Grand Prix as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching and listening, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you very much.